Hello YouTube, here's another episode of Cast Iron Savvy. If you have any questions or comments regarding this or ideas about upcoming episodes, send us an email at castironsavvy@gmail.com. And remember to subscribe below in order to get notifications on our upcoming future posts. So today I'd like to go through some different reference material that's out there in regards to collectible cast iron cookware specifically. So here I've just gathered up some of my reference material, and I've got more, but I figured, oh, this is half a table full, so we'll just go through some of these. You primarily have two types of reference material. You have collector guides, which are these. These are collector guides, and these are books that were compiled by different authors. Over time, they've they've gathered information and created these reference books. And a lot of times they'll have prices, included with it. And then that's helpful in a way when they're new, but then as these collector guides age, so this is one of the early ones right here, Griswold Cast Iron Collectibles History and Value. So the history is still very relevant, but then the value at that time, 1992, it was originally copyrighted in 1985. These values are not going to be representative of anything that you're going to have to you're going to be expecting to pay today. For the most part, these are going to be extremely low, but it does say in there, for example, the 1985 value on different things. Whoops. 1985 value, 1915 cost. It's very, very, very informative. I love this book. I've actually got two copies of it. This is one I kind of keep on the shelf in good shape, and the other one is this is the one I use all the time, and it's tattered pages, pages missing, and lots of wear on this. For me thumbing through it with greasy, cast iron fingers. So, here's another one that was put out by L&W Book Sales. They have several of these. This is Griswold Cast Iron Price Guide. I think there's a couple volumes of this particular book, and they had L&W put out several. The primary ones on the market today are these three: Griswold and Wagner, the book of Griswold and Wagner, and it also contains some information about Favorite, Wallpack, and Sydney Hollowware. This is the 5th edition, which I think is the most current. That is some information about the authors. I was trying to find the copyright. This one's from 2010. So see, it's now a few years old. And although the information in here is really good, and I would I would encourage anyone that is interested in collecting cast iron cookware to buy this book. It's readily available online. I've seen copies being sold on eBay, Amazon, lots of places you can get this book. It's about $35. It's a very good book to have. You can't take everything in this book at 100% truth, because there are some inconsistencies in this book versus some of the source material that is known to exist. So just keep that in mind. There are inconsistencies. There's some things listed in this book that aren't even known to exist. You know, some things like that. So just, you know, take it for what it is. It's you know, there's 2 authors, I think, co-authored this, and you know, it's a great book. It's probably the best collector book we have available. But you know, just remember that this was written way after the fact, and you know, there's probably some liberties taken you know, by the authors on that. And here's another one by the same 2 authors. It's the book of Wagner and Griswold. It also has some information about Martin, Lodge, Walrath, and Excelsior. This would be the second book that I would recommend for cast iron collectors. This goes quite a bit in depth with a lot of the Wagner ware. This one's probably half Wagner ware, where the blue one's probably half or more Griswold, with a little bit of these other companies. This one expounds, you know, more on Wagner ware than the blue one does. And then third of all, we have this really great book on muffin pans by John Hauser. This is a truly super great book. John did a wonderful job compiling this book. You know, there again, this book was, let's see, this book was originally written in 1997. So, you know, in the 90s, that was, you know, before, you know, eBay was so popular and a lot of these online, you know, marketplaces, before, you know, Facebook, the Facebook pages and all that type of stuff. So, you know, even though you can't beat this book on Griswold muffin pans, you have to disregard the values. You can still use them as a guide, you know, to say, well, this pan is twice as rare or worth twice as much as this other pan, you know, in that regards. But, you know, if it says $1,000, you know, in this particular book in 1997, it may only be $250 today. So, you know, you have to keep that in mind on any of these books. I consider the values in this book extremely high compared to what they're selling for today, and I consider the values in these 2 books, for the most part, pretty low compared to what they're selling, the items are selling for today. And I'd stick to that. There's except for a few areas like you know, stove dampers, gym pans, you know, those types of things. Some of your molds and more industrial types of things. These books probably have them valued higher than they're currently selling for. But you know, you really have to, you know, if you're going to invest money in this, you need to you know, do your research and not go by, you know, these books, because these are, you know, at this point in time, they're dated, and even seasonally, you know, on eBay, the prices change, you know, quite a bit. I always follow the rule of thumb that I heard Warren Buffett quoted as saying one time: don't buy anything for 10 minutes that you're not willing to keep for 10 years. And, you know, and that has really driven a lot of my, a lot of the prices that I'm willing to pay for cast iron. If I really like a piece, you know, and you know, I've seen them around for, you know, $100, $125, and one comes up for, you know, $200. It's in really nice shape. It's something that I really like personally. Yeah, I may pay, you know, $200 for it, even though I remember seeing them in the past for $100, $125. But I'm satisfied with that. You know, I'm not expecting to, you know, flip it or turn it for a profit or anything. You know, I'm a collector, and it's part of my collection, and you know, I enjoy it, and I'm going to keep it until I, you know, either get tired of looking at it or want to trade it, you know, for something else. And I can sell it and use that money to buy something, or do a direct trade with another collector. Anyway, that's just something I've kept in mind. This is primarily where I get most of my information from. When I find a new piece of cast iron, I immediately go to the source material. These are actual copies of original catalogs produced by the various foundries, manufacturing companies. These two here, if you like early Erie and Griswold items, you know, you cannot beat them. These two were actually reproduced by Perry Rapier in Ohio, out of Ohio, I should say, and he did a wonderful job, you know, reproducing these. The actual ones are only, you know, pocket size. They're very small, and then he had this, you know, reproduced into 8.5 by 11 standard size. Here's some more Griswold. This is actually a 1918 reprint, and it also has prices in it. But then there again, you know, this is quite a bit dated. This is also from L&W Book Sales 1996 price guide. It's absolutely fabulous because they actually did use 1918 original catalog as the basis for this book. Here's another one here, Griswold Manufacturing. This was from the 1985, 1992. This is one of the more earlier ones. This incorporates, there again, an original catalog with some of the author's additions to it. Here's an original catalog, Griswold Manufacturing, Erie Ware, catalog number 40. This is, I probably look at this one as much as any of them. This is a fantastic catalog, and it gives you wonderful, you know, information. Here's another one. This was catalog number 45, Griswold Manufacturing. And there's so much information in here. You know, it looks just like a picture book, but if you start reading, you know, if you start reading in here, I'm just going to flip to a page, you know, on something that might be interesting here. You know, so here's your oval waffle irons. Most of us will, you know, probably never own one of these oval waffle irons, but you can see there they came at this time of the printing of this original catalog, they were produced in size 7, 8, and 9. And there gives you the length, the width, the size, fit stove number, and then the price per dozen. $26, $31, and $38 per dozen. Wouldn't we like to get a hold of a dozen of those, you know, number 7s for $26 today? I mean, it's, you know, it's unreal. You know, just that little bit of information. So if someone tells you, you know, they've got a, you know, a number, you know, 12 oval, or number, let's say a number 11, you know, oval waffle iron, well, you know, they very well could be mistaken because, you know, at least according to this catalog, you know, they're only documented in 7, 8, and 9. And number 11 is, you know, more than likely the square waffle iron. But anyway, food choppers, waffle irons. This is just, you know, just really an amazing book. It also has some aluminum ware in there. I don't know why I've never ever seen any of this aluminum flatware, even though they sold, you know, or advertised scads and scads of it. You know, I can't imagine that it's all disappeared. It's probably more than likely not marked, and so that's why, you know, it never surfaces. It just gets thrown around. I mean, it's possible that, you know, that it's, you know, either it's all out of the market, either in collector hands or been, you know, recycled over the years when they had the you know, the metal drives of the different wars. But anyway, that's a good book. Cast Iron, Aluminum, Cooking Utensils by Griswold. Griswold Iron Hollow Ware. This is really a great one. This is the 1940 catalog. Cooking utensils, mailboxes, food choppers. This has some really good information in there. This actually has listed in it the hammered Griswold set as well. There's the milled bottom Griswold set. Here's the hinged, the Griswold set with the hinged covers. There's the hammered. And, you know, the information about, you know, the different sizes, how, you know, what type of finishes that they were sold in, if they were sold in, you know, black iron, silver-like, or chrome. You know, just, you know, you just can't beat it. You know, it's invaluable. This is a little later edition. This is like a 1942 catalog. Here is Griswold Hotel and Restaurant Equipment, catalog E39. I don't get into this as much. This is a lot of commercial things, but Griswold did manufacture commercial deep fryers, pizza ovens, lots and lots of different things, you know, that, you know, probably have mostly been scrapped by now, but commercial electric waffle irons, you know, it's still a nice reference, you know, reference material to have. Here's some that I have on Wagner Ware. Wagner Hollow Grade Hollow Ware. This is an early catalog. This is one that I probably turn to as far as Wagner Ware more times than not. This is a 1915 catalog of Wagner Ware. And most of these catalogs are available through the various clubs. You know, you can contact the WAGs or GCICA, and if they don't, you know, don't have, you know, access to them directly, they can put you in contact with somebody that, you know, that does. Some of the people that actually reproduce these original catalogs, you know, are deceased now. So some of them may not still be available, but a lot of these are. Cast aluminum, polished iron, nickel-plated Wagner Ware. There's one on cast aluminum Wagner Ware, catalog number 55. This is really a good one if you're into aluminum. A lot of different pieces there that's, you know, just, it's unbelievable. A lot of times you will never or hardly ever see, you know, a lot of these pieces, you know, out in the wild. You know, and a lot of times it's because that, you know, you're not looking for them. Like this little thing here. These little lime and lemon squeezers. You know, these things, there's a lot of companies that made some just like it, but I've only seen a couple that were actually marked Wagner Ware. And I think a lot of them, you know, are probably out there, but they're overlooked. People don't stop and, you know, take time to, you know, look it over. Hey, does this say Wagner Ware on it? Most of the time they're Wherever or something like that. There's shired egg pans, pie pans, custard cups, you know. Here's Wagner Ware cast iron. This is another nice catalog. This is catalog 58. And here's Wagner Hotel Ware. So a lot of interesting information in here. A lot of these pieces, you know, aren't seldomly found because they were, you know, primarily sold to restaurants and hotels and, you know, more commercial type places. But there's the French fryer. And this one here came with the basket. They either sold them with the, this is a side note, but these were either sold with the basket or with the lid. I've not seen them advertised with both. So they either come with a basket or lid, depending on the different times that, you know, they offered them for sale. Here's one on favorite hollowware. This is really, really a good book. I've got a lot of favorite items, and this is one of the few favorite catalog reprints that I've been able to find. French bowls, different things in there. Here's Sydney hollowware, Sydney in quotations. This particular one, I've looked at this catalog several times, and I believe, you know, this was not the pre-Wagner, you know, Sydney hollowware. I think this was, the Sydney hollowware that was operated by one of the sons or brothers of the Wagner hollowware at the same time, because basically you can take this Sydney hollowware book and this Wagner ware book and piece by piece match up, you know, almost everything identical. Here's another little one on Erie cast aluminum ware. This one was reprinted by Joe Noto, North Carolina. And here's one on catalog and price list of Wallpack, high-grade hollowware, sad irons, etc. This is this is the only one I have on Wallpack. And even though this has the Indian logo on the cover of it, that doesn't mean that every item in here has the Indian logo. In fact, most of the items that you'll find that's listed in there will not have the Indian logo. A lot of the kettles and stuff, you won't find them with that. So don't be deceived that you're going to be able to find all these pieces listed in here with the Indian logo. That was just their trademark for, you know, a short period of time around 1903, 1904, when the, you know, Pan American expedition and all that was going on, and, you know, everything was Indian. They had U.S. coins with Indians on them and stamps with Indians, and I'm sure Wapakoneta is a Indian name for the town in Ohio, so they just incorporated that, you know, into their design. So anyway, I just wanted to go over some of these with you. If I had a choice, this is just me saying, but if I had a choice of either having these original catalogs or these, you know, collector guides, I would take the collector guides far over, or the original catalogs far over the collector guides. I mean, this is the original material. You're getting it straight from the source. It hasn't been, you know, obscured by, you know, someone else's opinion of what was actually, you know, taking place at that time. I just really encourage anyone that's going to get serious into collecting cast iron cookware to go out and find as many of these original catalogs as you can. You'd be so surprised at the amount of information that you'll gain, and you'll become more cast iron savvy. So there again, there's the website, or the email address, castironsavvy@gmail.com, and hit the subscribe button if you like this. Give us some likes, and we'll see about trying to post some more editions. Until next time, take care.